Hello, you all. I hope you're doing well. Okay, I'm sure you've been paying attention to what's happening in Cuba.
An unprecedented display of anger and frustration in the streets of Cuba on Sunday. Thousands of anti-government rallies in large cities and small towns across the island of 11 million people. Citizens calling for an end to the decades-old communist dictatorship.
They're chanting Libertad. I think that's how you pronounce it, but that basically means liberty or freedom. They're chanting things like, we want freedom, we're not afraid anymore. And apparently they have had one of the biggest economic downfalls that they have had in decades, and the people are tired. They're having a lot of COVID infections and they don't have access to food or medical supplies, and they are just tired of their oppressive government. And as we know, it's a communist regime basically in Cuba. And the interesting thing about the protests that are happening in Cuba is I looked on the rightofAssembly.com, and here is the part about Cuba. And it says, despite constitutional guarantees of the right of assembly in Cuba, the exercise of this right is effectively prohibited to anyone protesting against the regime. So they're allowed to peacefully assemble, but they are not allowed to protest against the regime, which is what they are doing right now and what they have been doing for the past few days. So I'm going to give you a sort of sad update on what's going on in Cuba. And then after that, I would really like to talk about I've had a lot of thoughts about this recently and sort of what's happening in Cuba and how that relates to our political climate here in the United States. Now, if you look at videos sort of to the inner workings of Cuba and what exactly is happening and what exactly the regime is doing and how that relates to our trade embargo or any of that, I'm not really going to talk about that in this video. I want to talk about more of what is going on culturally and political in the United States and what we can learn from Cuba and other countries. But first, let's talk about what is happening in Cuba right now. So there has been an update, and apparently since now a lot of leaders in America and a lot of people in America and all over the world have taken to the internet or taken to local news stations or national news stations and have come out in solidarity with the people of Cuba. Even President Biden said something after. It was funny because at first, when the news first broke out, Jen Psaki got in the press room and was saying that they were protesting because they didn't have access to vaccines. Well, I think that there's a lot more to it, and I don't think it's really about the vaccines, which is really funny. But she has since backtracked a little bit from that, and President Biden has come out and said something. Even Bernie Sanders, the socialist, has said something. Here it is right here, where he's saying that he stands with the people of Cuba. The one person who has remained very silent, and I just checked her Twitter right before I made this video, was AOC, who has been very silent on this because, as we know, Cuba is a socialist communist society, and now we're seeing how that doesn't work. Usually it leads to death. Usually it leads to food shortages, medicine shortages, all of that jazz. So here is a sort of sad and scary update about what is going on in Cuba. So I'm just going to read to you a little bit from the Daily Wire, although this is all over the internet, so you can find it anywhere. This is just what I'm choosing. And it says, Cuba is cracking down on demonstrations. Dissidents say police are arresting, beating, and killing protesters. So I have one video that I can show you, and you can see the cops sort of surrounding this person. Here it is right here. But here's the thing about that. We don't have any really confirmed reports because there are internet blackouts in Cuba. And remember what I read to you at the beginning. You can peacefully assemble. You just can't do it against the regime. And that is what people are doing. They're protesting against the regime. And it went on for about 2 days before this crackdown sort of started happening. And one person, a Cuban from Miami, even said that it was basically the entire country that was out in the streets protesting, which is like huge. This is the biggest demonstration that they've had in decades. So this is a really big deal. And since then, no one has really had direct access from the internet because there have been these internet blackouts. which I'm guessing the government did. So let's read a little bit further. So the Associated Press reported Tuesday that Cuban police are beefing up patrols allegedly at the behest of Cuba's president, Miguel Diaz-Canel, who has made clear that he will respond to pro-democracy movements with force. An internet blackout, however, has descended on the country, making stories of Cuban officials' response to the protests difficult to confirm. Authorities appeared determined to put a stop to the demonstrations. More than a dozen protesters were detained. And this is directly from the Cuban president. He's saying, "We've seen how the campaign against Cuba was growing on social media the past few weeks," Diaz-Canel said late on Monday, defending the government's decision to throttle the internet service. "That's the way it's done. Try to create inconformity, dissatisfaction by manipulating emotions and feelings." And so they shut down internet service to people so they couldn't communicate out what is happening in Cuba. Interestingly, he still has full access and is giving updates on his Twitter account, but other people aren't. Florida media outlets report that dissidents have been using SMS messaging services to get video and narrative about the protest out of the island nation. One South Florida resident told Miami's Local 10 News that his friend in Havana sent him text messages asking him to tell friends in Miami that Cuban police officers were arresting, beating, and killing unarmed citizens. Video posted on social media, often through intermediaries in the United States, seem to confirm reports that Cuban police are engaging in a violent crackdown of pro-democracy demonstrations. So that's one of the videos that I showed you. And that is basically the latest update that we have as of now on Cuba. But man, this has really, first of all, I'm very sad for the people of Cuba. And if you look at a lot of the images that are coming out of Cuba, they are holding the American flag while they're chanting freedom. And we've seen this in Hong Kong and several other areas who are having pro-freedom demonstrations. And I'm going to show you this image. Actually, Marjorie Taylor posted this image out on Twitter. And look at that. These are protests that were happening all around the world. And what do they have in common? They're holding the American flag. Why are they holding the American flag? Because America, to the rest of the world, we are the beacon of hope. We are the freest country that there is. We are the last beacon of hope, and we are that little ray of sunshine for everyone around the world who is feeling oppressed, or who is feeling that their government has too much control and they're not able to speak out. And let's go back to the peacefully assemble thing. You're not allowed to protest against the regime. Well, in here in America, you are allowed to protest against your government. You are allowed to criticize your government, and not every country has that right. And there are so many people in America right now that take that for granted. Image that came out recently of this girl who's in third place, making such a stunning and brave and strong and beautiful statement by turning her back to the American flag. And I'm sorry. What a spoiled girl. If you are born in the United States of America, you won the lottery. You are one of the luckiest people in the entire world. And what just irks me like crazy is the ones that you will hear crying the most, that we are an oppressed country, that we need socialism. The ones who are pro-communism, like anti-capitalism, are typically the ones who grow up in middle to upper middle class homes, who would be, and that would be, if you live in America, you're probably among the top 1% of the entire world. Not America, but the entire world. So you have these people, these youngins, or what do you call them? I just said youngins. You have these people that grew up in middle to upper middle class homes, went to 4-year university, lived in a dorm, lived the life, and then learned that America is evil and America is bad. And those are the ones that you see out here saying capitalism is terrible, America is inherently evil. Really? Ask somebody from Cuba right now. Ask somebody from Hong Kong. Ask somebody from any other oppressed country if America is evil and bad. And why don't you go try living in their country for a little bit? And it's so interesting too, because most of the people I know that are really pro-socialism, I can think of two people that come to my mind. Let me tell you the personality type of the people that are pro-socialism. So both of these people I know that are like hands down feeling the burn, like Bernie Sanders supporters, these are people who will complain all day long about their situation, yet will not do a single thing to change it. Those are the people that are pro-socialism. That's not everyone that's pro-socialism, but that is a good number of people that are pro-socialism. They want things given to them without doing the work. And the thing about capitalism, the thing about America that is so beautiful is that it rewards hard work. You can come from nothing. You can be born into absolutely nothing in this country and make something of yourself. One of my favorite sayings is, no matter how bad you have it, somebody had it worse than you and made it. And this is a country that, yes, you have freedom. Yes, you can make anything of yourself, but you have to put in the work. You have to take risks. You have to put yourself out there. And it's the people that don't want to put in the work. It's the people that don't want to put themselves out there or take the risks. Those are the ones that love socialism because they can just sit in their comfort zone and have things handed to them. My other favorite sayings is, if you want to win the lottery, buy a ticket. If you want good things, you have to put yourself out there. But that is what socialism feeds on. It feeds on that want for people to have things given to them. And it feeds on that weakness that people have. And then it promises you things. It says, we'll give you free health care. We'll give you, we'll just give you income for staying at home. We'll make sure that you're taken care of. We'll give you free this and free that and handouts here and handouts that. And it feeds on that type of mentality. And that's how people get sucked into socialism. Any person that lives in an oppressive socialist or communist country will tell you that is exactly how it starts. They promise you all these things, but we see the reality of it in Cuba. We see it in Venezuela. We saw what was starting to happen in Hong Kong, why the people were out there protesting, is because it doesn't work. I guess it sounds good in theory, but it doesn't work in practice. You can't take from someone and give to someone else. That is not equal. And conservatives and Republicans, they get the flack in America that they're the evil ones because they're pro-free market, they're pro-capitalism. Well, conservatives, and this is the misconception, conservatives believe in equality for all. We believe that everyone is equal, and we believe that human rights are inherent. The government does not give you your rights. You already have those rights. The government is there to protect them, not to tell you what they are. This girl right here, I'm sure you've seen this image. This was floating around on the internet as well. Look at this beneficiary of capitalism. So she has a Smash Capitalism sticker on her MacBook that costs several $1,000s. They are not cheap. I just had to get a new one myself. They're not cheap. And if you notice at the bottom of the picture, there's the top of a Starbucks cup. And then she has some combat boots on, which I'm going to guess are Doc Martens. I don't really know. But this is a beneficiary of capitalism, proudly using her capitalist contraband right there, and is saying smash capitalism. It's like a trendy thing now to be anti-capitalism, anti-America. But what happens when you take that away and when you really implement a socialist society? Don't you lie. You love your capitalism, you love your MacBook, and you love your Starbucks and your Doc Martens and your ability to go fly on an airplane and be free and live a beautiful and comfortable life. That's a latte activist right there. It's just so wild to me that you see these people out in the streets protesting all around the world, no matter when it was or where it was. And these are people that really are oppressed by their governments, and they are holding the American flag as a beacon of hope. And here in America, we are burning the flag down. Look at this video of this mom and her son. And she is completely okay with him destroying this flag. She probably taught him to do that. Shame on you. Anyway, you guys, those are my thoughts. Sorry it got a little ranty, but you see this rhetoric even by politicians that say the American flag is evil, and I have no idea what they're even doing in politics. So if they think the American flag is evil, they're a part of that evil system. So Anyway, I hope you guys have a really good day. I pray for the people of Cuba and hope you will too. Really good day, and I'll see you later. Bye.